We're in Unit 4, Module 1, Session 4. The name of this home connection is Big Numbers. It's a two-pager. Make sure you put your name and number at the top. Please get credit for doing this work. These big numbers, you're going to notice, we're going to have to be methodical in how we look at them. And I'll explain more here on our first problem. Each week, Dylan and his dad go fishing. Dylan checks the odometer reading before each trip and records it in their mileage book. And here's a little explanation. An odometer is an instrument on the dashboard of a car that tells how far you've driven in all. Put these readings in the order that they would appear in the book from least to greatest. The first one has been done for you. Gosh, and my dad does this all the time. Every time he stops to get gas, he puts down his odometer reading. Anywho, so 89,776 is the lowest number on this list, which means it can be checked off. And then, as I said before, we're going to have to be methodical as we look at these. We knew that this was the smallest number because 89,000 is smaller than 93,000, 90,000, 91. It's smaller than all of these. So in essence, what we did is we looked at only the thousands to figure out what should go first. And 89 is the smallest. Okay? So if we're looking at just the thousands and the 10,000s, what number would come next? Would we want 93, 90, 91, 95, 99, or 91? I'm hoping you're going to tell me that out of all of these, 90,000 is going to be the smallest. Because 90,000 is smaller than 93,000, 91,000, 95,000, 99,000, or 91,000. And then I just need to finish writing the number. 90,000, 89. Okay? And I can get rid of this number. Okay? Now I'm going to look at the thousands again and figure what would come next. 93,000 versus 91,000. Well, this one's smaller. 91,000 versus 95,000. This one's still smaller. 91,000 versus 99. This one's smaller, 91,000 versus 91,000. Ooh. Here's the first one where we're going to have to dig a little deeper. 91,000 and 91,000 match. So now I'm going to look at the hundreds. Okay? This is 438. This is 204. We know that 204 is smaller than 438, so this number should come next. 91,204 is smaller than 91,438. Okay? So I'm going to write that down. 91,438. Oh no, I just did that wrong. 91,204. I wasn't looking in the right place. I'm sorry. 91,438. Okay? So that now that these are done, the rest of them can be done, and I'm going to let you tackle those on your own. Be very methodical. Look at your first digits. All the first digits match. Then look at the next digit. You'll start to see that there's a pattern. Okay? Look at the following numbers. Circle the number that is closest to 60,034. So we are 34 above 60,000. Okay? Am I closer to 60,100 or am I closest to 60,000 even? That's a good question. If I were to think of this on a number line, right? I have this really nice number line going on. Here's 60,000, and here is 60,100. Well, we know that in the middle would be 60,050, right? And what's our number? 60,034. So our number is going to be in here somewhere. So we know that we are closer to 60,000. This is very similar to the rounding that we've been working on, and this number would naturally round it down to 60,000 because 34 is closer to 0 than it is to 100. Okay? You'll notice I didn't even consider these two numbers because they're just way too big. 34 if you were to cover up like the 60, pretend there's no 60. I'd have 0, 100, 200, and 300. Right? If you're looking at that, 34 would never round up to either of these numbers. Not even close. Circle the number that is closest to 194,321. Wow. Well, I would say that we first need to figure out what we're looking at here. So it looks like we're trying to round to the nearest thousand. So this is 190,000, 191,000. So we need to figure out, would this round down to 194,000? Or would it round up to 195,000? Those are really our only two options, because this 321 would never skip all the way down to 193,000 or up to 196,000. Okay? So is 321, if we were to ignore this, right? We just look at the number 321. Would that round down to 0, or would that round up to 1,000? Well, we know that since this is smaller than 500, it would round down, which would take us down to 194,000. So that's what we're going to want. I'm just going to set these next two problems up for you, but I'm going to let you do them on your own. Circle the number closest to 233,904. As we consider these, what are our options? Well, similar to the last problem, look, we're counting by thousands. Okay, so we're rounding to the nearest thousand. So ask yourself this question: would this round down to 233,000? So this would round all the way down to 0, this part here. Or would this part round up to the next 1,000? And I'm going to let you decide. Number closest to 234,900,032. Big number, but what are we looking at? 232 million, 233 million, 234 million. So we're trying to figure out if this number here, 900,032, would round up to the next million, which would be 235 million, or whether it would round down to 234 million. So tell yourself, is 900,032 closer to the million above it, or would it round down to basically zero out? So you'd have 234 million. Okay? Pause this video if you need to. Round each of the numbers below to the nearest 100. Use the number line to help you if you like. It says, hint, look at the number in the tens place. So it wants to know, would 567 round up to 600 or down to 500? And we know that the 6, since it's a 5 or above, makes you round up. So we know this would round to 600. Okay, that's why we're looking at the tens place. 717, that's either going to round up to 800 or down to 700. If I look at the tens place, that 1 is smaller than 5, because what is the rule? If you have a, and I guess I could write it up here maybe a little bit, so if you have a 5 or more, you round up. If it's a 4 or less, you would round down. Okay? So this is definitely a 4 or less, because it's a 1 in the tens place, so this is going to round down to 700. Okay, last one I'm going to do with you is this one here. 889, is it closer to 900, or is it closer to 800? If I look at the tens place is an 8. Is that a 5 or more? Yep, so we're going to round up to 900. Pause this video and do those next ones, please. Now we're going to round to the nearest 1,000. The hint says look at the number in the hundreds place. That's a really good hint. Once again, we're going to say 5 or more. Round up. Okay? So, looking at the hundreds place, and I'm going to actually just kind of underline each of these hundreds places. It's a good thing to help you, remind you if rounding is maybe a little challenging for you until you kind of make it more of a natural thing. And now let's do this. let's draw an up arrow next to it if it's a 5 or more, and a down arrow if it's a 4 or less. So this is a 9, that's a 5 or more, so I'm going to draw an up arrow. There's a 0, that's less than 5, down. There's a 4, that's definitely a 4 or less, so that's down. What about 5? Is that a 5 or more? Absolutely. We're going to round up. This 7 is a 5 or more. We're going to say up. And this 1, it's not 5 or more. It's got to round down. So we basically went through and wrote how you're going to answer these questions. 4,903, if it rounds up, takes you all the way to 5,000. 5,099 rounds down to an even 5,000. 9,499 we said is going to round down, so that's going to be an even 9,000. And the rest of these I'm going to ask you to do on your own. Pause this video, please. You'll notice that all of these have to be to the nearest thousand, so it's going to be something, comma, 000, because we're rounding to the nearest thousand. Okay? Last but not least, Amanda is sure she got a high score on a video game, but she's not sure what the number is. Please write it down for her using base 10 numbers. She scored 943,261,568. Let's write this down. 943,261,586. That's a big score. Caleb is positive he beat Amanda's score. His score was 925,298,199. Who got the higher score? Let's write them side by side. Actually, let's write them in a stack. What is it? 925. And by the way, Caleb's going to be in red. 925,298,199. Now, for this final one, I'm going to zoom in just to make sure that you can see what I see. Here's my numbers in a stack. I wish I would have written them a little bit stackier, but we'll do. First thing I'm going to do is look at the first digit. They match. So I don't know, or I guess we could call that the last digit. That's the first number you look at, but really the decimal's on the right side. But this will be the first number we look at, 900 million. They match. So we don't know who has the bigger score. 940 million, 920 million. Who has the bigger number? Absolutely, it's going to be Amanda. Okay? So when you answer this question down here, make sure you write Amanda. How do you know? I would say it would be because of the 4 and the 2. And you could word that a few different ways, but to me, I would say 940 million, is larger than 920 million. So you could say we compared the 4-digit and the 2-digit. Okay? Hopefully, you're feeling pretty good about this. If not, please find yourself someone who enjoys math or is willing to help you so that you can work together to find yourself comfy cozy with this home connection. Until next time, later.